first month he started making sales, within like 2-3 months, he was doing like 5,000-6,000 a month consistently. What's going on? Don't join coaching/consulting if I'm going to break down the reality of starting a business. So in this video, there are 7 points that I want to touch on. And point number 1 is to stay in touch with reality. Okay. And what do I mean by stay in touch with reality? I mean, making sure that you find the right sort of work-life balance. Okay. When I first got into coaching consulting myself, all I wanted to do was work, get my business off the ground so that I could quit my job, be at home with my family, this, that, and the other, right? And it didn't quite exactly pan out exactly how I wanted it to, right? But, fast forward like, a year on from when I started, I had actually been able to quit my job and I was still just working. And I really didn't sort of find that sort of work-life balance between work and family. I was just working all the time, right? So it's really important that you're able to sort of actually block off time where you're going to spend with your family. Maybe it's on the weekends, maybe it's on a Sunday, and just be disciplined, okay? Make sure that you block off time for yourself because your body needs that time to recharge, okay? You can't just be working because you will literally burn yourself out, and this is never good for business. Step number 2, I cannot tell you how important this is, right? Before I kind of tell you what point number 2 is, I just want to say, well, like one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of people doing, right? It isn't necessarily your fault, okay? But one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they go to school, they go to college, and as soon as they leave, university or whatever, they just completely stop studying, right? And one thing that you'll notice amongst the most successful people in the coaching consultant industry is that they are always learning, okay? So step number 2 is constant progression. So whether that's, either in a mentorship course, whether it's, studying books, whether it's studying, I don't know, something else that's kind of like on your mind, you always want to be studying something, okay? So what I recommend is actually blocking out, maybe like an hour every single day to be studying, okay? Or even if you don't have an hour, right? Even if you just block out 10 minutes, maybe just listen to like an audiobook or something, right? If you actually work out listening to 10 minutes of an audiobook, 5 days a week for the course of a year, the amount of knowledge that you're actually going to learn from just taking that little bit of time out of your day to study is going to be huge, and your progression levels are going to climb up so much faster. Step number 3 has to be the most important one out of this whole 7, okay? And this is working on your mindset daily, okay? So why is this important, guys? One of the biggest kind of issues that I had when I got into coaching consulting was my mindset, okay? I had belief systems that were instilled into me by my parents, okay? I grew up in a fairly poor family, so my parents were always broke. And when I became an adult, I found myself in the same patterns that my mum was in. My mum was always struggling for money. And then I found myself in the exact same pattern, also struggling for money too, right? So the hardest part for me was being able to kind of shift my belief systems from what I've been taught, all of my past experience that I've learned up for like, the past 20 years from like a baby up into an adult, to be able to think like a strategic entrepreneur, okay? Everything that you do stems from mindset, right? So anything that you think that you can't do or anything that you think that you can do, that all starts with your belief system, okay? And really sort of, shifting the way that you think is going to be the key to success online. And mindset is probably like 80% of the puzzle, right? And being a coach myself, it always kind of baffled me. It was always very interesting to start, watch some of my students that came into coaching programs, right? Because you would have like a portion of people that would come into coaching programs and they would absolutely smash out the gate, right? And then you had other people that would come into coaching programs that consume the exact same information, okay, have the exact same mentorship as the rest of the people, but they wouldn't be able to do anything about it, right? And it always kind of baffled me, like what was the difference between this person and that person? They had the equal amount of attention, the same information, and it really just could sort of stem down to, mindset and belief systems, okay? So I highly recommend, if you're not already, you want to be sort of studying, working on your mindset twice a day, okay? So first thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up, okay, be doing sort of, visualization, affirmations and stuff like that. And again, before you go to bed, be working on your mindset twice a day, every day. And this is one thing that has to stay constant if you want it to work, guys, okay? So even on days off, I would always take time out in the morning to work on my mindset and time out in the evening to work on my mindset. Step number 4, this one is absolutely huge, guys. Right from when I was like a young kid, right, I would always start things, okay? And then after so long, I would quit. And my mum always used to say to me, Andrew, why can't you ever just stick to something? And I never really kind of understood why, right? Until one day when I got into coaching consulting, I joined a program and a guy gave gave me something called a pattern of behavior worksheet, right? And it was just basically like a piece of paper which had like a little roller coaster with highs and lows, okay? And anything that would give you a low, you would write down in the box, you know, what gave you a low. Anything that gave you a high, you would write in there what gave you a high. And I started to notice that after 2 months, I would get bored and I would quit. Okay, I never really sort of understood cause and effect relationships, right? And this is absolutely fundamental if you want to build a successful business, right? So let's just use, for example, if you look at like any of the most successful people like Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, you know, any of these like really successful people, if you actually look at their wealth growth charts, right? You can find this stuff by Googling it online. They start really slow, okay? And then all of a sudden they spike and they grow exponentially, okay? So we can use COVID, for example, because I know this is something that's out there at the moment, and most people would have seen the COVID graphs, right? They start really slow, the infection doesn't spread very much, and all of a sudden it spikes and it goes exponential. And this pattern can be seen in the amongst all of the successful people not just online, just successful people in general, okay? And an action you take today will have a compounding effect tomorrow and the next day and the next day, okay? So consistency in the work that you do is very important because over time, eventually it will start to compound. So just really important to take note, guys, as you start off, things may not necessarily pick up really quickly. They may start off quite slow, but over time, it has this compounding effect and all of a sudden things seem to spike. So understanding cause and effect relationships when getting into business is very, very important because I see so many people that come into the online space, they make tons of money within the first like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they quit. Okay, and they never end up getting that end result because they don't understand cause and effect relationships. Step number 5 is planning and productivity. Okay, this is again really, really fundamental stuff. If you're failing to plan, then you're planning to fail. Okay, so you don't just want to kind of come into the online space and just try and wing it because you're not really going to get far. Okay, you want to make sure that you have a clear plan, a clear direction that you're heading towards. Okay, so you want to be sort of setting goals, you know, at least a month out. Okay, so if you're in, let's say we're going into February, you want to be sort of planning out exactly what targets you want to hit for February. Okay, and then you want to sort of break them down into from monthly targets into weekly targets. Okay, so obviously you're not going to achieve the whole month's target in, you know, just one day. Well, it would be pretty good if you could, but you're probably not going to do that. So you want to break down into weeks. So for me to be able to achieve this monthly goal, what do I need to do in this week to achieve it? Okay, and then you break it down from weeks into days. So I look at this week, I want to achieve this. What daily actions do I need to take in order to make that happen? Okay, and then from days, you break it down into hours. So you have every hour of every day accounted for, and this just really helps with productivity, guys. Okay, so when I got my my last sort of coaching business to like 15 grand a month, I was pretty much doing the same activities every day. I knew what I was doing. I was doing it for months. It was the same routine, okay? But I did start to notice that if I didn't have just a piece of paper next to me telling me exactly what I needed to be doing at what time of day, in what hour, my productivity was nowhere near as good. So just writing something down on a piece of paper and having it next to you makes a world of difference for your productivity, and you'll be able to make progress 10 times faster, okay? Don't just take my word for this, guys. Test it out yourself and you will see for yourself just how much of a difference that actually makes. Step number 6, guys, this is going to be a hard pill to swallow for some people because I know some people, again, it kind of goes back to the mindset of just having that sort of broken belief system. But step number 6 is you have to invest in yourself, okay? And I know you've probably heard this out there before, but I just want to say I've had clients that have been online for like over 14 years, over 10 years, and they've been struggling because they refuse to invest in themselves, okay? I had one client called Dave, okay? He was online for over 14 years, tried print on demand, affiliate marketing, you know, all of these different things. And over that course of 14 years, he'd only made about $3,000, right? Because he refused to invest in high ticket mentorship, okay? And then one day he was like, right, I need to do this, okay? So I actually started talking to him. He jumped into my coaching program, and within the first month, he started making sales. Within like 2-3 months, he was doing like 5,000-6,000 a month consistently. And he's now gone on to start his own coaching program. He's crossed that 10K per month mark. And he said, this was like the best thing that he ever did was actually invest in the mentorship to learn from somebody that had done it, right? And I see people online all the time where they're telling you, like, you're speaking to them, oh yeah, maybe a little bit slow, but I'm going to figure it out myself, right? And they're just going in the wrong direction for years and years and years, okay? So when people say like invest in yourself, guys, it's not really just about like having the money to just invest in yourselves, right? If you want something bad enough, you will find a way to make it happen. Just to give you a bit of background, when I started my online business, I was in like 20, 30 Ks worth of debt. I didn't have money, right? But I ended up putting it down on a credit card because I knew that my return on investment would be so much more than what I paid, right? So yeah, I got myself into a little bit more debt, but that more than paid for itself when I'm making 15 grand a month, within a very short space of time. The fastest path for you to be able to earn money, okay, is to invest in mentorship. And you have to remember, guys, that like the position that you're in today is purely down to a series of decisions that you've made that have led you to be where you are. Okay, so the money you have in your bank account, the house you have, the car you own, all of that stuff was you. Okay, it wasn't the government, it wasn't the rich, it wasn't anybody else. That was you. Okay, so the first step is to just take responsibility for how your life looks, and ultimately, like, doing more of what you're already doing and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. That's what Einstein says, right? So in order for you to change your situation, it's going to require you to do something that's uncomfortable, right? Because it's out of the norm. But uncomfortable situations is where the growth happens, guys. So I just cannot stress how important this is. Like, if you haven't invested in a mentor, I recommend going and doing that. Find somebody that resonates with you, but not just resonates, check them out, make sure that they have a proven track record of actually helping people achieve the result that you want to achieve. And then, go out there and just learn from somebody that's already done it. It's going to shortcut the path so much quicker for you guys to be able to actually make money, right? And step number 7 is just understanding that you will make mistakes, okay? I cannot explain like how many mistakes that I've made in my online business, right? The most successful people that you see out there, they've made more mistakes than you could possibly even think of, right? But the difference between the people that make it and the people that fail is successful people just understand that mistakes are just necessary stepping stones in order for you to achieve the desired result, okay? Whereas people who don't make it see mistakes as a bad thing and then they quit, okay? Mistakes are just feedback and necessary for you to experience in order for you to achieve that end result, guys. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you check out my playlist on how to make money online with coaching and consulting.